Hello, everyone. Welcome to Light Laughter and Lattes. My name is Geri Habstritt and my co-host, Patty Peterson. We are both Avesa quantum healers and medical intuitives, and your hosts today for Light Laughter and Lattes. So welcome, everyone. And if you are listening to us live on Oneness Talk Radio, Facebook, or YouTube, jump into the chat and say hi. We would love to hear from you, or just even know that you're here and sharing this moment with us. So once again, welcome, everyone. We have I don't know, Patty. I feel like we've talked about self-love before, right? Many times.
Many times, even intermingling with other topics, right? Because you can't get away from it.
You can't. And the more you keep saying yes to your soul, the more that oneness is your intention, sacred union is intention. If your intention is to find your soul partner, I mean, the path of that is self-love, and you have to just keep doing it and keep doing it. But what I have found is where I'm applying self-love maybe refines a little differently.
Absolutely. I totally agree. There's layers to that too, just like everything.
Yes, the beautiful onions that we are.
We all are, yes. How about blossoms unfurling? Yes.
Yeah, blossoms are better than onions, but so to love every one of those petals, right? Or every one of those layers.
Oh.
Okay, so hi, Angela. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
So we're doing something kind of fun. So I titled this 8 Ways to Love Yourself More. And granted, we could come up with a lot more than 8, but Patty and I have both been actively doing this consciously for, a good 14 years. And so she came up with 4 and I came up with 4. And if you have more that you can think of, put them in the chat if you have more. And so we're just going to take turns, and we're going to go back and forth and have a little conversation on why we have these, and maybe share some experiences with you on how they have helped us. So, Patty, I'll let you go first.
Okay. The first one that popped in my mind, because this one made an impact. I'd been well along my awakening journey for a while. And when a mentor said, self-love is to fully accept exactly where you are. And it put a light bulb in my head. I went, oh, yeah, we're doing these certain acts of self-love or whatever. And yet it's that constant out here, right? When I'm thinner, maybe when I'm this, when I have the partner, that deeper love, whatever. And that we can be so accepting of exactly where we are. And then the statement of saying to ourselves, I love myself as I am and as I am not.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's one that I felt, okay, fully everything in my life right now, fully accepting it is an act of self-love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just encountered that one today. So as you know, I'm actively looking for a house or a townhouse or another place to live. And I have been doing this since 2015, 2016. And there's been things that have stopped me. I've had experiences that stopped me, and I didn't have the energy. And then we had COVID, and then the market's been crazy, and the competition out there has been bonkers. And for all kinds of reasons, I haven't done it. But I had grand opportunity in 2015. Like, I was being guided, I was being supported, I had everything I needed. I looked at houses, there was no competition, and I was just flat out picky. Like, no, I can do better than this. No, I can do better than this. No, I can do and I didn't move. And so needless to say, now those houses are more than twice what they were. And yeah, and so now I'm out looking at things and getting a little discouraged at some of the things I'm seeing for the amount of money. trying not to beat myself up for what I didn't do,
There we go.
for
Exactly.
what I
Yes.
didn't do back then.
Mhm.
And I really had to stop a couple of times and just say, no, I did the best that I could, you know, and I'd have to go through and go, hey, I'm alone doing this. I don't have a partner to bounce this off
To
of.
bounce ideas.
Uh,
Yes.
I was going through divorce stuff at the time. It's a big deal to
There
buy
was
a
a lot
house,
on your plate. Absolutely.
to move on my own, to make a deal on my own, to sign the papers on my own. I'm like, okay, I just have to trust that it's okay and something is still going to work out, even though it's so easy to look backwards
Yes.
and to um I guess this would tie into my number one,
Okay.
right?
All
Number
right.
one is
What's that?
self-love. So we're on
Yes.
number two, right? Would be to
Yes.
release judgment of self.
Absolutely. Yes. Whew, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And so one of my themes that I bring forward in many of the shows, is relationships. And I have a similar theme looking back at some of the wonderful men who have been in my life. And there have been potential partners. That's been affirmed by other mentors and healers around me, and higher guidance. And it gets to a certain point, and because underneath there was this fear of vulnerability or whatever, not enough love of self to allow them in deeper, and I would leave. We make up, some excuse on the more external, and looking back, I'm like, OMG, there was something there that I could have looked and gone deeper to see what kind of a magical journey maybe we could have created. So I get it. And same with some areas around finances. So how do we look back, remember that I did the best I knew how with my consciousness at the time. I forgive myself, which is very much an act of self-love.
Right. To let go of the shoulda, woulda, couldas. None of us have a crystal ball, even though I kind of did. I had so much guidance and support and push behind me, and so to even love myself, knowing that I was being handed everything basically on a plate and I didn't take the plate.
And Geri, could we say some of that is about receiving, which is such a big
Sure.
piece of self-love, right? Am I receiving? What's there?
In my case, I don't think it was the receiving. It was actually something else that's on my list, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
We'll go to that
To be
next.
continued.
To be continued. Yeah, and I do want to share. There is a reason I picked 8. So eight is a
Yes.
significant number right now. In ascended numerology, June is a 2. And 2 is really the body in union with the soul, the body and the soul together. And 2022
Relates
is
to the heart on the body.
Yeah,
And
high heart.
even though it's a number 2, like our sacral, no, it relates in ascended numerology to our heart.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And then the 2022 is a 6. And so together, the 2 and the 6 make an 8. So this month is all about the 8, which brings in the lotus chakra and the archangelic realm. So
Lotus
that's
chakra is
where,
right up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And of course, that would be archangelic realm too, right? Our guidance and our inspiration coming. Yeah. So eight is the number of the month. So, and you bring in 4, which is 4 is about balance and love, right? And this is about self-love. So the 2 4s together, and we'll have a perfectly guided 8 that will help you all.
Yes. Think of that whole archangelic support radiating around.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got accepting ourselves where we are and where we aren't, like self-acceptance and releasing judgment. We could probably talk a little bit more about that. That is, I've found The more that I lift in consciousness, self-judgment refines and refines and refines. Like at
Exactly. We start
first,
seeing, yep. Go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, 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 that's okay. Um, it's easy to see the judgment at first when you're at the point where you're looking at people and physically judging them, and then you're aware that if I'm judging someone on the outside, it's because I have a deeper judgment of myself. So I have to heal my judgment around whatever that is, bring it to acceptance. And, so that's where the judgment is easy, but later it starts to refine a little bit more into ways that you're not even totally aware that you're judging, right?
Mhm. Exactly. hmm
Are you able to think of any examples?
That's what I'm going. Nothing's popping in my mind right now, and yet that's been my journey, especially this year. And is this refinement, this pieces underneath that we weren't even conscious of, in how we're judging ourselves.
Mhm.
Whether yeah, not quite believing in ourself for something or whatever. I don't know. You got any that come to your mind?
Well, even something little like calling something good or bad.
True. True.
It's
hmm
something so simple. I mean, you might see something out in the world where you're like, obviously that's bad. Well, no, not obviously. When you release judgment, it may look bad. It may not feel good. It may
hmm
not taste good or any of those things. But how do we know what's good for the growth of another person?
Right. Exactly. How do we know their journey, their role? Yes, that's exactly so that anything around us, noticing more where we're putting these labels,
Right,
good, bad, black, white. Yeah, let's go deeper there.
right. Well, and I have an example. I usually do,
hmm
right?
Yes.
So I could judge my apartments harshly for raising my rent again. $600 in a year, 2 years, right? There's like no tenant rights in Idaho. They can raise as
Mm.
much or as often as they want if you're out of
Oh,
lease, and
okay.
there's no percentage or limit on that, which there was in
hmm
Minnesota where I lived previously. So
Yes.
I could judge them and be upset and say, "That's bad. What are they doing?" But on
hmm
another note, I've been wanting to move for the longest time, and this actually has put me in motion, got me actively taking steps that I wouldn't
hmm
take had I not been given the nudge. So, on the outside, yes, it was hard to go through, but from another perspective, I think it's gonna actually get me where I've been wanting to go anyways.
It's going to be that nudge, that extra, right? Impetus. Very good. And what comes to my mind is some of our body symptoms. How easy is it to judge our body? Oh, there's something wrong. When underneath there's a message, there's an opportunity to go deeper, to get what it's saying, and perhaps maybe cleanse or whatever that is. And how then can we really accept where that's at and love that and forgive that part of the body, not judge it so harshly.
Right, or the actions that are happening in the outer world, daily, which can look from
Mm-hmm.
many from a certain perspective can look terrible or unfair or unreasonable or imbalanced. Well, if
Very
the
much.
world's in balance, if a lot of people are out of balance inside, the world's going to reflect that. So is it really to place judgment on it is making it worse, and it's not the solution.
We're adding to that energy of it.
We're
Absolutely.
adding to it, right? We just need to go inside and find more balance
And
within
feel that
us.
peace within us will have
Mhm.
an outward expression that is way more than what our little pea brains even know.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So that's two, right?
Okay,
Anything
you're
else,
up.
Jen? Okay. Three. And that ties to seeing our goodness, right? There's a practice we learned in our medical intuitive training, and I give this one to clients a lot. And it's amazing how some people have a really hard time. And so it's like thinking back over the last month of any experience where you were excited or happy about the presence you held and your level of engagement. And some people have a really difficult time with seeing that goodness in them. And that ties to our self-worth. Our self-worth and our value is more about the infinite divine that we are, not just the personality, self-esteem stuff. And so this, how can we see that goodness? Do we honor that we are this divine being that is holding presence, is offering acceptance to somebody, compassion, whatever. And so I like that practice periodically too. Go back and think, okay, and let's see if I'm connecting with how often am I connecting with the goodness within me? Which can easily bring up the stuff about the judgment and everything else, but.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. So that was connecting with your goodness, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the next one I have is putting yourself first. This is a hard one, boy, right? And it's all about. Go ahead.
Look, I was just going to say, as a woman, mothers, what we've seen modeled, taking all of that in context. Okay.
Well, that was probably my first and biggest step on my journey of ascension, was to learn that. And it's years of unlearning everything you've learned. Right?
Yeah.
Because it is not accepted that it's looked at as being selfish, as
Yes.
opposed to being self-full. And as we know, or if you don't know, your energy is modeled. So all those in your family and your kids especially will model your energy. So if you want them to love themselves, you have to love yourself. You can't not love yourself and be the doormat and give up your everything for them and then expect them to go out in the world and put themselves first. It won't happen that way.
Right.
And so if you want for your kids the best in the world, you have to do it to yourself. So it's not being selfish. It's frankly the way that we're going to help balance the world.
Exactly. And see, that ties then to that goodness. I have value, right? Yeah. And there's many other things we could put underneath there as far as, tying into that, putting ourselves first, the boundaries, But you're right. And both of us, I mean, when we first met, right, how entrenched we were with that overdoing, and then losing, we can't, who we really are, and depleting. And that really relates to several of the chakras too.
Right. Well, and it's so much the healers, most that I know who are open, who are on the path of self-healing, are the ones that have great big hearts, right? And they want to help everyone. I want to help. I want to heal. I want to help. I want to heal. And so that energy goes out to other people first, as opposed to the self. And it's loving without balance. And that's when you start taking on other people's energy because you've given yourself away. And you start using your energy to heal as opposed to bringing in the divine energy. So there's so much around that. And I was just at a women's group last night, and there were so many that are just now seeing that that's okay to put themselves first.
Yes. So encouraging anybody, if you're listening out there and that hasn't been your in your world yet, take steps and notice what then comes back to you, how you feel, less energy depletion, fatigue, how are you filling yourself up first and putting yourself. And it does take practice. Don't be hard on yourself. And
yes, absolutely. And if you have a hard time wrapping yourself around that still, if you think about it as we are the divine and we have the divine within, how do you honor the divine, right?
That's
by
it.
by honoring yourself and doing what's best for you first of all, right? Operating, living from a full cup.
Exactly. Exactly. We cannot give if we are empty.
Okay, you're
Thank you
up.
to the people in chat. All right. Next one I wrote was how we choose to nourish ourselves. Now, nourish can be on all levels. The physical, definitely the food. The more that we honor that divinity in us and wanting to lighten our physical in order to raise in consciousness, it inwardly we're being guided. Are we listening to that? It gets easy. The body doesn't, things don't even look the same, right? I've had clients who are doing the journey and all of a sudden, some of the old habits go away, the drinking, the pop, the cigarettes, just naturally. They didn't have to put any intention on that specifically because it was gaining their own self-love that they want to nourish this body, a form that's housing their beautiful, infinite divine beingness. And so it becomes much easier when your levels of consciousness lift to nourish physically with the food, the water, and then nourishing with what spiritual practices, bringing the infinite more in, the divine in, right?
Sure. The people you choose to hang around with, do they nourish you, or are they vampires? Do they take your energy? Do they bring you down? Do they bring you joy? Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's all part of that nourishment and
absolutely.
support of the physical, mental, spiritual, divine being.
Yes, all that's a piece of it. Okay, so my next one is trusting yourself. Because in the world of the archangelic realm, trust and love are the same thing. And so the more you can trust the truth of you, trust the guidance you're getting, the more you are loving you, right? How
Exactly.
can you really love yourself if you don't trust yourself? You can't. And this was the one that my story was tied to, but now I forgot the story. But
Connection. Okay.
why I didn't buy a house back then. It wasn't that I didn't
Yes.
feel I didn't deserve. It's that I
Okay.
had all this guidance and support, but I wasn't trusting it.
Still didn't trust
I
the
didn't.
decisions you're making, the
Yes.
trusting that guidance. Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. This very much relates to our solar plexus chakra. The old power center is all about trust. Do I trust my decisions? Do I trust the infinite working through me? And there too, that's a continual practice, isn't it?
Constantly. And
So notice, I would just say, notice yourself when you did trust yourself and really give yourself some kudos. Woohoo, I did it. I trusted that. And look.
absolutely. And I've been just doing that today too, going, yes,
Woohoo.
I knew I should have done that and I did it and it turned out great. Good job. Good job, Geri.
Yes. There's another self-love.
Yeah.
Celebrate you.
Yes. And the big piece with the trust is this world is so out of balance, and it's this feminine and masculine energy thing that's out of balance, and it's very much tied to the heart. The heart needs to be open, we know that, but an open heart without the trust and the empowerment is a doormat. And that's why that's where we come from, right? In our raising, where women are selfless, they give to everyone else and put themselves second. Well, we're coming out of that into the place where no, it doesn't work like that anymore. We're getting more empowered, trusting ourselves, trusting the power we have. And that's where you have the balance, where the heart and the solar plexus together are in balance, and
Yes.
that'll bring more balance.
Yep. And it'll help you to take the action. Yeah.
Right.
Because solar plexus also governs our muscular system, not only how we digest and take in life, but yes, that imbalance with that heart, look out. The true divine feminine.
Right. That's where the magic happens. The
Yeah.
magic lies there when you have the love of the open heart and the trust of the guidance, And then you start taking action on it, and away you go. It's like, okay, now I'm
Mhm.
unstoppable because I'm being guided and I trust it. And
Yes.
I'm in a space of heart presence, right?
Absolutely. A new statement I've written down that kind of ties to that is, I'm prepared to be amazed. I'm prepared to be amazed. So that's one's going through me a lot lately.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. My fourth one, I have a few others here, but the one I feel needs touching in on is listening and nurturing to that inner child aspect within us.
Mm.
This, when we are going about our day and we get triggered by another, we feel very hurt, we feel, we're falling in the victim mode. When we can go in and connect with that aspect of us that's tied to the ego, that inner child, we all have an inner child, and get where might she, he, they be holding on to an old story, an old wound. And from that child's perspective, it's very different than us looking at it from the adult now. And we go into that and hear and listen and offer this nurturing, this compassion. That's love. Give the love to that part of you. And again, that forgiveness, you did the best you knew how with your consciousness at the time. Look, you made it to the adult. Look give the positive qualities, you are so courageous. Wow, are you tenacious? And I see your beautiful light, and really connect. And the more of us that heal that wounded inner child, the ego can relax and the soul can come forward. So it takes a little extra effort, right, Chair?
Oh, it's constant.
At first, yeah.
Almost. Well,
yeah, we've got to stop, pull back, be consciously looking at that. And so it takes that it's worth the effort. Yes.
right. Yeah. No, every situation that I'm in, I try, because there might be this balance too between, am I being empowered or am I in my ego?
Right.
Right. So even for an example, last night I went to a women's gathering, and they're kind of just starting to open up to some things, and I really have to stay, because I've been doing this for a really long time, but I enjoy being around people who are at least open, right? Or who are, and there's so many wonderful things that we do together as groups, but I have to make sure to check my ego out the door, that I'm not going into it as I'm the one who knows it all because I've been doing this for so long, right?
Perfect.
I'm here on the same playing ground, here to share,
Yeah.
give and take energy, and be a part like everyone else. And just because this is what I do as a living and I've wrapped myself around it more, doesn't make me more important. And that's what the ego wants to do, is to make you feel more
Yes.
important.
Exactly. That one's a good one to check us and put us in place. Beautiful, Sherry. And when that inner child heals, it's that aspect of us that helps us be more buoyant, curious, in the moment, and present. How wonderful, right? Would this world be? More of us are operating from that.
Absolutely. Yes. Creative, free,
Yes.
spontaneous.
Yes. There we go. Great. How about your last one?
Okay. I went back and forth because I had two of them that were both equally as loud, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. Well, we'll probably talk about this one's probably more important, so I'm going to say this one. Saying yes to your soul. So the soul wants expansion. Well, if you're watching this show, not everyone's soul probably wants expansion, but if you're watching this show, your soul does, because that's what we're about. you wouldn't have been drawn to it. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And so saying yes constantly, because as you're saying yes to your soul, you're saying yes to the divine. You're saying yes to oneness. You're saying yes to probably the reason you took birth. And it would be only your ego that would stop you from saying yes or would say no because it's afraid to grow. So it these kind of tie together. Um, do you have more to say about that one?
Not in the moment.
No.
You're doing well.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's another one that's just a constant, is it not?
That's a
Yes.
constant
And yes,
too.
again. Yes. And that's
Yes.
been a big one for me as the choice in May, right? Yes, to my true self, my authenticity, to continue to lift and
Yeah.
trust the guidance.
Yeah, always in the choice months, and we cycle awareness, experience, choice. Awareness, experience, choice. So May was a choice month. So just be aware, June is an awareness, July is an experience, August is another choice. So in those choice months is when your soul is asking you, okay, do you want to grow? And so an act of love is yes, but maybe, maybe it's time to sit one out. I don't know, maybe that's an act of love too, to honor.
It can be for some, absolutely. Yep.
Okay,
Beautiful.
you're up.
Any. So that was my main 4. And the other things I had jotted, kind of wove into what we were saying. Okay. And just like, I love myself as I am and as I am not. Another area that I like to reflect on periodically is I give myself permission to, and trust. What's the first thing that comes up? I give myself permission to, and it ties to that about putting yourself first, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been just another theme around that to learn, wow, because we can have all these hidden resistances that we don't even know until they become more conscious. So that, along with that, I'm preparing to be amazed, and so that deeper self-inquiry offers evolution. The more that we, do those open-ended and what's there and not judge it.
Well, that's kind of actually when I said I had 2 at the end, that's you've kind of hit on it.
Yes.
My one that I was teetering with that I put was presence. So
Yes.
you wouldn't even be aware of doing any of these things if you didn't offer yourself a certain amount of presence. So presence is really being present with your divine energy. And if you have a hard time being present with yourself, then you're denying aspects of yourself, which is denying your love. because our presence is our love, that it's the divine, it's who we are. And if we can't look at ourselves and be present with who we are, then what is it that we're denying? And that's where the distraction comes in. And that's
right. And a beautiful practice, that's the healer medical intuitive that comes forward, is when you're saying that, Geri, is to gaze into the mirror, right? That presence, and how present can I be? Look deep into our eyes and see your divine self, that infinite self. If you're familiar with the star practice, connecting to our consciousness in the middle of the forehead, and keep bringing that forward. That's another one that will reveal where we might have some old patterns that are ready to unravel, release.
And I know that for some people, presence can be hard too, especially if you're going through anxiety. And I've done this. It is really hard to be present if you're in a space of anxiety. So that's the time where you put the hand on your heart and you call in, what am I needing? And the self-love would be, well, maybe you need a vacation, or maybe you need a time out to just be with yourself for a while. Maybe you need to go see someone and you have an old trauma that's coming up that you need to care for. So it's just that presence, even around the anxiety, to love yourself enough to find the root of it and take care of yourself in that way.
Right. Yeah, not run from it, to be with it. Yes, because underneath, contributing to anxiety is usually a belief around worthiness and not safe being you. And so that all ties in. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Good. And time is winding down. I have a new card deck I was sharing with Geri here called the Elfin Quest that I absolutely love. And so thank you to everybody in the chat joining us, beautiful beings. We feel you. We appreciate you. And I'll draw a card for anybody listening. What do we need to most hear right now? And I don't know if you have your set too, Geri.
Yep. I'll draw one, and you can draw one, and
Yep.
you'll see what kind of magic
We'll
we can
see what-
co-create.
Yes, here we go. And there's a sigil and an angel god that goes with it. You might want to see that. Feel the energy of that. And it is Sybil Lanuk Urster. Nothing is ever what it seems. Finding the many depths behind the obvious is the adventure of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yes, those layers that we started out with.
Right. The awareness of, we can, about the judgment, right? Judging something good or bad, it's never as it seems. So
as it seems, there's a hidden layer that may stay open to revealing.
Okay, so I pulled Self-Ascension 7. And so that is a physical body card. Yep. And I'm going to read that. Self-Ascension 7, authenticity. So freedom cannot be granted to you by a government, a country, a friend, or a relative. Freedom can only be found when you accept the truth of yourself without doubt or fear. True leadership is a benevolent energy that embraces the good of the whole as a priority. This priority comes without egoism, interfering, or seizing priority. To wear a crown as a symbol of your authentic expression of light and body is a gift that opens the doorway to your infinite expression as love in action. The time is now for you to accept this crown of authenticity, go beyond the limits of this world, and soar with the eagles. You are free, and it is your time.
Yes, so perfect. And I love the soar with eagles because eagles have been showing up in my path continually lately. So
yes, and I've got something funny to add. So at my little group I was at last night, we played it's like a relationship game, and it has deeper questions of going in with a group, kind of open up and get to know each other. And one of the gals pulled the card, if you could write a little letter to your inner child, what would you say to her? And so one of the things that I said to her was, you are free.
I love it. Yes. Oh, thank you, dear. Yes.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in today. It was a lot of fun. And
it was fun. I hope you all enjoyed something.
Yes, go on and go love yourselves to death, right? Go do whatever it is that makes you feel good. And remember to put yourself first, right? Do what's best for you and not what's best for everyone else.
Yes. That's it. What I give myself permission to do is to be yes. Like Geri said, she's free. Beautiful. Big hugs of love to all.
Goodbye, everyone. Until next week. Namaste.